Hello and welcome back to Nake's channel, where we believe knowledge is power. And as usual on this channel, we are having a very interesting topic today to discuss. I ask that you share with others, subscribe to this channel. Knowledge is power. Today, we are talking about why the period could be late. There are certain reasons that could result in the period being late. Irrespective of the pain and all that comes with it, it's still a bother that it doesn't come if it doesn't come at the right time. Because our period actually is an indication of the health of a woman, of a menstruator, is one of the indices to determine that one is healthy or not. So if you're wondering, why is my period late? You can fasten your seatbelt and come with me. So we'll be looking at the top 15 reasons. Of course, that is to say that these reasons are not exhausted, but then we'll look at the top 15 reasons that could account for lateness of period. So yeah, we'll take the first one, which is pregnancy. In most cases, pregnancy is the reason for lateness of the period. If you are a menstruator and you continue to have unprotected sex for an extended period, at times, even for once, determine on the time it is in the menstrual cycle, you could be pregnant. So if the period is delayed by a week after you're expecting your period and you can't find it, and you've had unprotected sex, even if it was just once, then you could take a pregnancy test. Usually, we make use of strips. You can make use of strips at home, which you can buy off the counter, and use urine. Okay. Yes, because the body of a pregnant woman produces certain hormone called the human chorionic gonadotrophin, and the HCG is present in urine. Okay, blood can also be used to detect, but because you're carrying this out at home, you can just make use of urine, which is safer. So the presence of the urine, the presence of the hormone in the urine will determine that you are pregnant. If it is absent, then it means that maybe one of the other causes could be a reason for the delay in the period. Okay, so we'll move to the second point, which is stress. Yeah, stress could lead to a delay in the period. And how does this happen? Stress results in things like headache, can cause breakout on the skin, can cause acne, can cause weight gain or weight loss, and it can also make one to skip period because mental and physical stress levels increase the levels of adrenaline in the body, and under such stressful conditions, the body temporarily stops other non-essential processes in the body. We'll find this out also in some of the other causes of delay in period. So under such stressful condition, you find that the body shuts off the non-essential processes. When we say non-essential, it means those things that are not really essential for survival. So it concentrates on processes like nutrition, like respiration to keep life on. But processes like reproduction uh, are temporarily stopped, okay, at that point when the body is very stressed. So that can lead to skipping the period. And it can be delayed for months. The regular function will be restored once the body is no longer under whatever pressure or whatever it's causing. Once you're able to deal with the stress, the body will return to normal. Okay, another point that can lead to a delay in menstrual period is irregular sleep pattern. When one just newly gets a night job, or if you travel or move to a new country with another time zone, the menstrual cycle can get delayed. The menstrual cycle can be affected. And anything that can affect the internal clock of the body. The body has its own internal clock that controls body processes, and that internal clock is referred to as the circadian rhythm. And it's a rhythm. I'll show us in more details in the next slide. But anything that can disturb it, that will not allow it to go the normal way, can also disrupt the period. Okay, so let's look at a typical circadian rhythm, the clock of the body. There's time for the way everything happens at 6 p.m. in the night. 6:30 is the time where you have the highest blood pressure in the body, highest body temperature around 7, and the melatonin secretion starts. It even involves the time for secretion of certain hormones in the body. Melatonin secretion starts, and then melatonin secretion stops around 7:30 a.m. And then there is the highest testosterone secretion around 9 a.m. And we have greatest cardiovascular efficiency of muscle strength around 5 p.m. So all these things, this is the normal way the body works. But anything that can affect this, maybe like I said earlier, your job needs to move from day job to night job. So you are not sleeping during the night, you're awake, and normally you're supposed to be at your deepest sleep around 2 a.m., but around that time you are not sleeping. It can affect, it can lead to disruption in the period and cause a delay in the period. Okay, so another thing that can result into a delay in the period is breastfeeding. That's breastfeeding. Breastfeeding for lactating mothers, because of the hormone prolactin that is formed during breastfeeding, that hormone suppresses the menstrual cycle temporarily. And the condition is referred to as lactational amenorrhea, or something that, delays natural conception. And that's why some women use that as a contraceptive, but then it's not a guarantee. It's not a foolproof method, because there are some women too that can ovulate during breastfeeding. Usually the periods will come back within 8 weeks after weaning of your child. But some people, their periods come back much earlier, even while breastfeeding, they ovulate. So you have to know how your body works before you decide to make breastfeeding or lactation to be a form of contraception, so that you don't end up having a baby you're nursing and being pregnant. And if after weaning your child, after 3 to 4 months, your menstruation does not return, then you might have to see your obstetrician, gynecologist, to check what might be going on in the body. Yeah, we're on the 5th point now, and that is exercise. You and I will agree that exercise is very good. It helps to keep the body in shape. It helps to all that in the body, keep us fit. But then some people go to the point that overboard. They do it, the intensity becomes so much that it's too much. And then they coupled with they not taking enough food, that leaves the body not producing enough estrogen to be able to complete the menstrual cycle. So for such people like gymnasts, athletes, they might miss their period um, for months, like 3 months, and they're at the risk of developing amenorrhea. Amenorrhea is a complete absence of period. And if you want to know more about amenorrhea, I have a video which you can check on our channel. The link is down there. Okay, so working out excessively and not having enough food can lead to destruction in the menstrual cycle. So what do? Slow down, gain some weight, and then you get right back on track. Still talking about weight, irregularities in weight plays roles in delaying the menstrual cycle. The gland present in the brain called the hypothalamus that regulates the process of the production of hormones If you have gained weight excessively, or you have lost weight excessively, it can throws your ovulation cycle off. So when you have low food intake, such that there is a lot of weight loss, maybe as a result of illness or refusal to eat, or other conditions that lead to not having adequate or malnutrition, that can result in being underweight, it can stress the hypothalamus. And in turn, it affects estrogen production. So people that have eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, they can also have such changes in the body. And as well, being overweight or sudden excessive weight gain can also lead to higher estrogen levels and delayed periods. So that can result in going for months without having without menstruating. Then for such people, they just find out that the endometrial lining keeps thickening month after month, and when it sheds off, it results in very heavy and painful periods because it has not shed off for months, which is what happens during normal menstrual cycle. Okay, and if you want to know what happens during a menstrual cycle, we also have a video which you can check at the link attached below on our channel. And please don't forget to subscribe, um, share, like this channel so that you can get the notification when a new video is being released. Okay, so we are on the 7th point now, and that is the polycystic ovary syndrome. That is PCOS. Okay, for PCOS, there's also a video on this channel that is talking in more details about PCOS, which you can check at the link below. Okay, so PCOS affects a lot of females lately. It's not as if PCOS is a new thing. It's just that more people are becoming aware that what they did, the disorder they have is PCOS. And why is that? Because usually, formerly, old wives' tales and all that as associated pain with menstruation, which is not supposed to be. There is a level of pain, right? But then excessive pain is not normal. Is not normal. Okay, so by the time many people are discovering that excessive pain is not normal, then they go for treatment, they now find out that what they have might be polycystic ovary syndrome, the PCOS, and this causes an imbalance in hormone levels, resulting in delayed periods or missing them entirely. So what PCOS does is that it changes the levels of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in the body, and of course results in lack of ovulation because the menstrual cycle is already affected, and making most women that have it to have irregular periods, and some have no periods at all. And there are other symptoms of PCOS, including hair growth on the face and the chest, weight gain, hair fall, and that's balding, and fertility issues. And for the fertility issues, in fact, it has been found that many people with PCOS, they find out that they have PCOS at the point at which they are trying um, to have their own babies. When they find out it's becoming impossible, that's when they now try to start tracing, and then will discover that it is PCOS that is the problem. And on the flip side, because there is no ovulation, no regular ovulation, no regular periods, some people with PCOS tend to have multiple unregulated births because they do not know at the point at which they are ovulating, and they can't seem to be able to control their pregnancy. So on the field, I have met a woman that had 9 births. She had given birth to children 9 times, and this is somebody that is in her late 20s. Okay. And when she was trying to ask about how she can do what contraceptive she can make use of, since she doesn't have a period and she keeps getting pregnant up to the 9th one in her late 20s. So it results in fertility issues. It could be either nothing, you are not able to conceive at all, or conception, irregular conception, like in unplanned conception. And aside that, PCOS is a condition that requires a lot of management, a lot of understanding. You might want to look up the video I pinned below. All right, so we're on the 8th point now, and that is thyroid dysfunction. Thyroid dysfunction is the thyroid itself is an organ, a gland located in the neck. It's shaped like a butterfly. It's not located in the neck, and the function is to regulate bodily functions. Okay, that's what the gland does. So people with hyperthyroidism, that is the oversecretion of the gland, oversecretions of the thyroid hormones. Such people have a tendency of having very light periods, and people that have hypothyroidism, that is low quantities of thyroid hormones, their periods are very heavy. And both of these conditions can result in disruptions and irregularities in the menstrual cycle. They may delay the period or lead to skipping. And like I said, for PCOS too, when people find out that they have thyroid dysfunction at the point at which they are trying for babies. So why? What are the things that leads to fluctuation in the thyroid levels, the thyroid hormone levels? It includes potency fluctuations or dosage errors. That's when you're required, your body weight and all that calculated by your pharmacist, your doctor says you should take 200 milligrams of this in the morning, in the afternoon, and then you decide to take 100 for whatever reason. Um, those kind of dosage errors could result into fluctuating thyroid levels. And also your medication timing and food interaction. There are some drugs you don't take, you take on empty stomach. There are some you take with food alongside while you're eating, and some you have to finish eating before you take it. And doctors usually recommend and tell you how to take the medication, but for some of us, we just think, what the heck? Maybe I've even forgotten by the time you were eating or something, and you take it at any time. It could result into fluctuating thyroid levels. Then we have herb and supplement interactions. While um, herbs can be very potent, but because of quantification, you might want to avoid using herbs, and because you cannot ascertain what quantity, what concentration, and these interactions with the body can result into thyroid level fluctuations. Change in season can also affect the thyroid levels, hormone fluctuations, other things that can result in hormone fluctuations in the body, such as pregnancy, can also result in thyroid level fluctuations. Pregnancy or other disease conditions can result into a fluctuation in the thyroid level and affect the period, such that there could be a delay or a missing, skipping of the period entirely. All right, very first, we are moving on to the 9th thing, which is the chronic diseases like celiac disease. The celiac disease is a disease that occurs, takes place in the small intestine, where absorption of food into the blood, of food nutrients into the blood system takes place. So the one that is celiac disease, the villi are collapsed, they are damaged, and there is no adequate absorption of nutrients into the bloodstream. So that kind of disease, or other things like diabetes that increase the sugar level in the body, anything that affects the metabolism of the body, can also affect the menstrual cycle. Okay, things that because the menstrual cycle is a kind of a metabolic process as well, controlled by hormones and all that. So any change that affects the amount of glucose crossing the blood-brain barrier, or that affects the amount of hormone that is being produced by the body, can result in late periods, including things like ovarian cancer, PCOS, and what have you. So we're on the 10th point now. We have 5 more to go of the leading causes of delay in period. So here we are on medication. For different conditions in the body, we get to take medication at one time or the other. But one thing about it is that they lower the estrogen levels in the body and result in light periods. And at times, the period can be so light that no endometrial linings will actually shed. And this could be a reason for late periods while on medications like during chemotherapy, or people that are on weight loss pills, people that are using steroids and antipsychotic, antidepressant medications, and of course, oral contraceptive pills, which is our number 11 point. Contraceptive pills or birth control pills affect the period. They lower the hormone levels in the body, and that means thin endometrial lining. And if the endometrial lining is thin, that means little or no linings will shed, and of course, that's a delay or a skipping of the period entirely. So, birth control pills usually contains the hormone estrogen or progestin, and those can change the physiology of the body when you start taking them. And it can, even when you stop them, for some people, it takes up to about 6 months or more before the body's normal physiology and functioning is restored. Okay, yeah. So we are on the 12th point, and that is perimenopause. Perimenopause is the pre-menopausal stage. That is a time when the body is about to come to an end of the reproductive phase of a menstruator. So at that stage, there is usually a decline, a reduction in the level of hormones that are produced by the body. So for a woman, a menstruator that is transitioning to that stage, periods can be less frequent, or can be more frequent or less frequent depending on the body. And there are also other signs too that can be experienced, including physiological signs and physical signs, like things like hot flushes, night sweats, reduced libido, weight gain, urinary incontinence, vaginal dryness, and bloating. So those are other things that it could cause. So as a tip, I like giving tips, and for this video, the tip I'll give is, if you're at that stage, please don't take it as an opportunity to have unprotected sex, as you might still be fertile at some of the times, and you might not know when you could be fertile, so that you'll not be having an unplanned baby. Yeah. The 13th point is sickness or low immunity. And, as we've said, once the body is having something that's more kind of life-threatening to deal with, all other processes that are non-essential for survival at that time receive little or no attention. So when there's something like flu, typhoid, cholera, chickenpox, that makes the patient to lose weight and drain their energy, it can result into late period. Okay, once the body is fine and healthy again, the normal period cycle resumes after you've recovered from the disease. And I believe this is the funny one. Yeah, miscalculation can result in uh, delayed periods. What do I mean? Um, Not everybody knows how to calculate the period, the menstrual cycle, because quite a number of people has had that it's an average of 28 days, and some people just calculate it based on that 28 days. It's not always like that, and you have to take time to know your own menstrual cycle, because some people have their menstrual cycle as long as 35 days and some as low as 21 days. So you have to understand your own cycle. And I have a video of that also on this channel that you can look up to find out how to calculate your menstrual cycle. The link is attached below. Okay, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this channel and share with others. Okay, so if you miscalculate your period cycle, you might be expecting your period early while it's coming later. Okay, so you should learn how to determine your own periods. And the last point is menopause. Menopause is the final stage at which a menstruator will stop menstruating. And if a menstruator has not menstruated for about 12 months, the person can assume that she is at that stage of menopause. Okay, because it is at that stage that the menstrual cycle will undergo cessation forever. And menopause is the reason for no period. So I believe we have learned something, and you can share with somebody about what you've learned, or somebody who needs it. You can help the person. Thank you, and I'll see you in our next video. Na cares and I care.